Hi, my name is Jackie Emerson, and this video will be discussing how to move Steam Whistle Pilsner into the Australian market. Steam Whistle Pilsner comes from our very own Toronto, Ontario, and if you didn't know, it's brewed next to the CN Tower at the infamous and historic St. John Street Roundhouse. Steam Whistle Pilsner is a golden beer with a refreshing and distinctive aroma of hops, with a clean, crisp finish. The connections between Canada and Australia go way back to the early history of both countries. They share a similar colonial past as members of the British Empire. Laws, political structures, and traditions have much in common and developed on similar paths. We even share some of the same historic figures. Steam Whistle Pilsner wishes to enter the market with a transnational strategy. This is how. Steam Whistle Pilsner wants to move into Australia's biggest alcohol retailers. The manufacturing of the beer will be done in Toronto to keep its ethnicity background. By using a transnational strategy, we'll be combining the geocentric view with the polycentric view. For the geocentric view, we'll be using the best staff for the job regardless of culture or nationality. By using the polycentric view, we'll be hiring staff from the host country. It'll be effective when cultural differences are prominent, and there will be less political and currency risk. With all the talk on strategies and views, we'll have to crawl before we run. That being said, the beer will only be exported into Sydney, Australia. This is a large city with a great amount of tourists. This way we can test the sales and save money on the manufacturing. Our journey into Sydney will consist of our brand being bottled in one of Australia's bottling factories, and hopefully with the right agreement, such as a WTO, being able to ship the products together. While trying to move our product into Australia, it's important that we follow their customs. The federal government controls the importation of alcohol beverages into Australia and has a strong impact on the market for liquor, through the imposition of excise taxes on the manufacture of liquor within Australia and importation into Australia. Just like the Canadian government, the Australian government controls what ads for alcohol go on TV. It is illegal for a person under 18 to buy, drink, or possess alcohol on licensed grounds except in the company of their guardian or a spouse when ordering a meal. But in some states, such as Victoria and Western Australia, they allow drinking or possessing alcohol on private grounds for people under 18 years, but this is with the supervision of at least one adult. There's a reason that Australians are in the biggest few countries in beer consumption per capita. They make great beer. You'll find that many Australians are parochial to the beers made in their own state. There are hundreds of beers to try across this great southern land, and no doubt more to come. The one thing that unites all these states is their love for beer. Beer is even a big part of Australia's history, believe it or not, and the best thing about Australia is that the hot weather is all year round. There are plenty of resources to access beer, and because of Canada's great relationship with Australia, we won't need to do much product modification. So how do we compete with all these amazing Australian beers? Simple. We put the city location on each bottle depending where it's sold, like the beers in Australia. We'll also combine their love of Canadian folk to promote it. Now that Steam Whistle Pilsner is taking on globalization, it's also going to have to take on these concepts globally. New global communication technologies, foreign direct investments, international trade, migration, new forms of transportation, and flow of money. We're going to be offshoring in a sense where the bottles will actually be sold in Australia, and hopefully the alcohol will be bottled in Australia, though the business functions will be run from Toronto. To touch on why any company should really expand globally, well, this includes the increased use of technology, faster modes of transportation, supply chain management, free borders, and of course a free trade agreement, which we already have with Australia. These are all very beneficial facts to our company. So because we just discussed the pros of going global, we're also going to have to discuss the cons, such as if there's a recession. Also currency fluctuations. Just because the Canadian dollar equals one Australian dollar now, doesn't mean this could be different in a couple years from now. We'll also have to consider the outcome of political instability, as well as changes in the laws regarding the alcohol use in Australia, because this has happened in the past. Alright, so we're moving on to the value added. We've talked about how the beer will still be made in Toronto and shipped to one of Australia's bottling companies to then be exported into Australia's biggest alcohol retailers. When we look at this product's process of making it into Australia, we need to know the value added to the product. We're going to come up with this number by looking at the difference between the cost of the raw materials to make the Steam Whistle Pilsner to the cost of the finished good, and this will be further explained while we look at the value chain. Steam Whistle Pilsner actually has a very simple value chain. Steam Whistle Brewing is right next to the CN Tower and a popular destination to throw a party, grab a beer, and check out the process. All materials are grown in Canada and have a quick trip to the brewing building. Everything is bottled right there, and really just creates an overall fun experience. Thanks so much for listening!
Created using Powtoon.